Welcome to the Neckbeard experience. We got a lineup today of creepy customer neckbeards, a live-in neckbeard, and a gatekeeper, plus more. So sit back, relax, get ready to cringe, and here we go. I work at Walmart, and in my state, wearing masks is mandatory now. If someone's not wearing a mask, you have to turn them away. There's no options. So I'm outside. I'm on my break, and I see this guy in what looks like a wrestling t-shirt. He looks over 300 pounds. He has greasy hair and really bad acne. He wasn't wearing a mask. Now, one of my girlfriends is at the door, and she tells him that he's going in on the wrong side of the gate, but he ignores her. She then tells him that he can't come in because he has no mask. Then he starts ranting and raving about,
"This is fascism. You can't treat people like this. I have constituted rights."
She told him that she was sorry, but this was an order from the governor. He tried stepping past her, but she wouldn't let him. I ran and got my friend. I had a feeling that this would be an issue. Now my friend, he's pretty tall, and he's a stocky guy. He ran over to the door and he asked, "Is there a problem?" And the neckbeard stopped dead in his tracks. He went from domineering and aggressive to meek.
No, sir. I'm fine. Just a minor misunderstanding."
And he just put his mask on. So apparently, he has no problem getting onto a woman, but the second a tall buddy comes out, he has no courage. My break ended, so I went back to my register. There was only 3 registers open. I'm the only female cashier today, so I was busy ringing up a customer. And the same wrestling neckbeard came up to the end of the aisle. Now, one of the other cashiers said that he could take them now, but he insisted.
"I want to wait for this cashier."
And he pointed to me. I guess it's because I was a woman? Well, he came up to me, and he handed me like 5 anime DVDs. That's it. So he risked catching and spreading corona for anime DVDs. There was some stuff I've never heard of, since I really don't watch anime. He's talking to me while I'm ringing him up, and he's complaining.
"These masks are insipid. Besides, you're too pretty to wear a mask."
I'm not saying anything. I'm just trying to hurry up and get his stuff scanned so I can get him out of here. The last DVD I saw was Princess Mononoke, which I have seen before and I liked it. So I commented on it and I said,
"Oh, wow, hey, Princess Mononoke, I like this movie."
So he suggested,
"Why don't you come home with me and we can watch it together?"
And he writes his number on the receipt, hands it to me. I hand him the bags, and I told him,
"Have a nice day."
He just said,
"It'd be much better if you joined me, baby."
I was too stunned to move. Then he said,
"I might come back tomorrow just to see you."
I waved at the next customer to come, hoping that he'd get the hint. I thought he did, since he left, but he didn't. He walked out of the aisle around to my side, and he forced a hug on me. My high school is very small, so no one actually gets involved in fights, bullies, and etc. So we were all real shocked that this happened. It was a dark morning. We had to wait for the doors, as the teachers had to come open them. I was with my friends, and we were chatting about how bullcrap Bridget was in Overwatch, when we heard a scream. It was a quiet morning, so all the students that were waiting by the door heard the scream. We all turned around, and we saw a popular kid arguing with the neckbeard. The neckbeard had a certain reputation in our school. He was almost never up to dress code. He did have a school jacket, which was mandatory, but it was unbuttoned, exposing some of his superhero anime shirts. And he always wore black shorts. Not only that, he made everyone uncomfortable. He did have a friends group, and somehow managed to win the anime club election. But he has a huge ego, and he makes every girl in the club uncomfortable. As they were arguing, Neckbeard walked away, and we thought it was over. But he came back with a katana, a freaking katana, from his car. Quickly everyone ran, and the next thing I know, school security has their guns out, and they have rubber bullets, and they're asking him to lower his weapon. "Lower your weapon, now!" But the Neckbeard decided to charge, heading straight for the popular kid. Well, they quickly unloaded on him with a ton of rubber bullets, and he slammed to the ground. As security put him in handcuffs, we circled around him. His face was destroyed. His forehead was extremely swollen and red. So I asked the popular kid,
Why did he attack you?
and he said, the Neckbeard thought it was bullcrap that I started dating this girl. He said that they were friends, and he's been nice to her, and that he was trying to get with her for a while, and that he had dibs. I don't know what happened to him after this, but I know the anime club stopped meeting, and security, they started wearing body armor. This story starts in summer, between my freshman and sophomore years. I was roughly around 14 or 15 at the time. I was also involved in the school's band program. We were a relatively small school in a rural community, so all the band kids were very good friends. Well, being a pretty poor place, we had our fair share of people below the poverty line, or thereabouts. Enter Edgelord. Edgelord arrived at our school roughly 3 years prior, when I was in 6th grade. He stayed there for about 2 years, and he was notorious for dating younger girls. This included myself. We dated for about 1 month before I decided that he was extremely creepy. He moved away shortly thereafter, and then came back again my freshman year. When Edgelord came back, he seemed to be less creepy and got a lot of female attention, despite never using contractions and saying really edgy stuff all the time, and occasionally wearing a fedora. He was tall, extremely hairy, and sweaty, yet still unable to grow a real beard. Classic neckbeard traits. Other than that, he did shower, and he wore deodorant. The worst physical thing about him was the sheer amount of Axe body spray. Now, I'm allergic to it, so being near him literally made my face swell up and get incredibly itchy. Now, he didn't have the best family life, and by this point, he had already dropped out. He would have been a senior. He was about 18 at the time, but we were still considered friends at this point. Well, my mother ended up asking him to do yard work over the summer. He seemed like a nice enough guy, and like I said, he acted like a friend, so she gave him a key. I did figure this out because he intentionally startled me, walking in the door with an axe over his shoulder. He thought scaring me was hilarious, I guess. He started getting more and more attached to me, telling me stuff like,
I've had a not so great home life. It's caused me to have a lot of personal struggles. I wish I could find a good girl to date.
He began to ask me to hang out all of the time. He started sending me,
Oh, good morning, beautiful.
text, buying me things, and forcing me to eat whatever snacks that he would buy me from his hands. Overall, he was very overwhelming to an introverted and angsty 14-year-old. About the end of summer, he showed up one day and talked to my mom, and he told her,
I found myself homeless. My roommate kicked me out. My mom won't even let me stay with her. I have nowhere to go.
My mom asked me if I would feel comfortable letting him stay. Well, I was a bit of a pushover, and I said it was fine, as did the other members of the household. He agrees to do yard work and chores, buy his own snacks. Mom would, of course, cook his dinners for him, but other than that, he would live in a spare room rent-free. He began to obsess over me. He would walk into my room, see my dirty underwear on the floor, and dirty clothes in the basket, and he'd tell me,
Oh, your panties are so cute.
He also decided to ask me,
Could you cook for me in your bathing suit? You're starting to develop quite nicely.
I was so uncomfortable. He would not let me alone for a moment. He would be waiting for me when I came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, just standing in the hallway, staring at the door and waiting. He would follow me on my after-school walks. He would insist on hanging out from the time I got home until I went to sleep. He got so angry when I got a boyfriend, he would consistently inquire about my virginity. He even stole my personal vent journal while I was at school. Cut to December. It got so bad that I am never at home, but he blows up my phone constantly. If I was with my friends, at school, anywhere. I would sometimes on the weekends wake up to over 700 messages because he wanted to spend time with me, alone, before anyone else woke up. He tried to pick the lock of my bedroom. He thought I was alone. Thank God my brother was in there. He even insisted on coming with my mom and I to see our family out of state for the holidays. While there, he wouldn't leave me alone either. We went on an outing to the mall, where he drugged me to the sex toy section of the Spencers. I was 15 by then, and he was 19. I was uncomfortable when he suggested going there, and despite my physical and verbal protest, he grabbed my arm and dragged me in there. I was struggling to get his hand off my wrist. He was over 6 foot tall and about 250 pounds, and I was a measly 5'4" at 110 pounds. Later on, he actually bought me a vibrator without my knowledge or consent. Another horror story was the following June. I had greatly wanted to go to Pride, as I had just come out as bisexual. Now, Edgelord was so obsessed with me that at this point, he begun to kind of be me. He would intentionally go through all my Spotify and like all the exact same music. He would like all the same niches, all the same styles. It was creepy, and it really infuriated me. Anyway, when he heard me come out, he also decided,
Oh yeah, I like men as well as women too.
Which was odd, considering that he claimed to find men disgusting not even a month prior. Well, when Pride rolled around, I was super geared up, as was he. Unfortunately, however, I couldn't go due to some other things happening, so he went instead. I ended up sleeping over that night with my best friend, and when I came back, he left a pair of mannequin legs in my bed as a present. Speaking of pride and bisexuality, he also attempted to blackmail my closest gay uncle. My uncle is a very wealthy gentleman, but he's also very generous. He bought him a lot of very nice things, such as a tailored suit. Edgelord once told my uncle,
I'd sleep with you if you paid me $1,000.
It went on like that, with so many more awful things, and we definitely got sick of him. He was so annoying, clingy, and always thought he was right. My brother and I made fun of him constantly, so he'd stop wanting to be around us. My mother would refuse conversations with him. My brother got him a job, a car, a license, and a GED, and he was entirely ungrateful. He would only complain about it. He refused to do the chores and dishes, which he agreed to do for free rent, until my mom finally kicked him out. He remained obsessed with me until shortly after I graduated. He had since moved away, many states away, and I hope I never see him again. So this is a short but cringy story. I've been going to paintball with my friends at our regular field for a few months. We've been able to recognize a bunch of the regulars. Well, this story comes from the past Saturday. It was around 90 degrees. And with all the activity, everyone was pretty hot. And this is where Paintball Beard comes in. We went to our next map, and I noticed a heavyset guy that randomly appeared in, I kid you not, a trench coat and sweatpants. His mask goggles weren't fitting either, since the wispy neckbeard was glistening with sweat and hanging out quite a bit. Not to mention the stench permeating the air around him. Whatever, I say to myself, to each their own. Paintball is for everyone. Well, that was wrong. As the game started, I noticed that Paintball Beard was on our side for the deathmatch. He broke into, I assume, some type of anime run, overly exaggerated. The neckbeard then stumbled into cover. However, his size, this crotch behind the barrier, was not enough to cover him. I noticed that he was pelted almost immediately in the side of the head. Naturally, anyone who plays knows that once a paintball breaks on you, you're out. But Paintball Beard began blind firing while somewhat whimpering. The guy who shot him began to yell, "Hey, you're out! And quit blind firing!" Since in this field, you're only allowed to shoot what you can see, and Paintball Beard proceeded to argue and whine.
It's my first time! It doesn't count!
Now, had he been 15 years younger, that would have been understandable, but an out is an out, and our team began to try to get him out of the way and send him to the out-of-bounds waiting area. Well, he yelps.
Nobody ever listens to me. I know how good I am. I'm not out.
Now, mind you, he has 3 bright orange globs of paint oozing down the side of his head. The ref noticed what was going on, and he approached the beard to remove him, but then he yelled at him.
You Chads are all the same. never letting me try new things.
The ref then calmly told him, "Everyone's welcome here, but you must follow the rules." Paintball Beard then turns around and lets out, I guess was supposed to be a growl, but it was more like an awkward, angry gurgle noise. Everyone seeing this began to fall to the floor laughing at him. Well, Paintball Beard took this personally, and he thought it was a great idea to take his frustrations out on him by shooting at the laughing teammates right in front of the ref. Before awkwardly trying to stammer away, the ref radioed the other refs standing in front of the map, where they was able to catch him and ban him for life. So, I'm a cosplayer. I have been since high school. I frequent conventions. I specialize in many different cosplays, but I really like to cosplay as Marvel characters. At the last convention that I attended before Corona, me and my boyfriend went as Tony and Peter. We both got a ton of compliments, and it was mostly amazing. Until our Neckbeard entered into the story, we were looking at a vendor selling pop figures when the smell hit me. I tried to ignore it, and I kept browsing the figures, as the vendor was selling pretty good ones, and I didn't want to lose the chance to pick up something great. Well, our Neckbeard noticed that I had the Spider-Man mask off, revealing my long feminine hairstyle, and that I was gender-bending Peter Parker, a decision our Neckbeard evidently wasn't happy with, as he let me know.
Excuse me, miss. What on earth do you think you're doing, cosplaying as a male superhero?
Now, I'm no stranger to toxic cosplayers. I've grown up used to these comments. So I responded,
Sir, it's called crossplaying. I'm simply gender bending the character. If that's not for you, that's okay, but that's what I'm choosing to do.
Well, the Neckbeard was still upset, as I had the audacity to cosplay the opposite gender.
You look nothing like Peter Parker. Your breasts are too big, and your hair's too long, and worst of all, you're a woman. You feminists shouldn't be allowed to ruin perfectly good male characters by cosplaying as them.
Now, my breasts aren't huge. I was simply wearing a push-up bra. To emphasize the idea of gender bending, while my hair was pretty long, it only contributed to the look.
What's your problem?
My boyfriend interjected.
The problem is this woman is cosplaying a male character, despite clearly being a woman.
Instead of continuing this pointless argument, we simply grabbed our stuff and walked away. We did miss out on finding some really good figures, though. Thank you for joining me for this edition of the Neckbeard Experience. Whew, got some really cringy ones, especially the one that lived with them. That's very dangerous. I've watched a lot of crime programs where other people got in that situation and they ended up murdering the family. So actually, I think they're quite fortunate that they got out alive, because he sounds like that kind of individual. Hope they're more cautious next time, if there is a next time. I'm going to give a special thanks to my patrons. Your help is invaluable, and I greatly appreciate it. If you want to become a patron, you can follow the links down in the description. You get advanced MP3s you can download, and you can also get advanced access to the video without ads. Thank you all very much, and until next time, this is Dallas, signing off.